Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is January the 16th, and the Matt LaFleur watch continues. It's, wild times as a Packer fan. As this thing, 1 second you feel like, okay, they're close to getting it done as reports came out yesterday, and then you're getting other reports that are kind of dropping going, whoa, if that's true, if that's accurate, not to bag on any reporters, I feel like they're reporting what they're hearing, I'm sure. But you're seeing tweets fly out there that you look at the numbers, and the difference in the numbers is, man, it's damn near astronomical in my opinion. So we're going to dive into the latest details on the Matt LaFleur contract negotiation. I don't want this to be a long stream. I want to get right to the point. Appreciate everybody jumping in here on this glorious, like I said, January 16th. It is 8:38 Lambeau time here. And we're going to dive into all the details. Before we do, if you would, do me a favor, do that YouTube stuff, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We always say this at the beginning of every show. I want to be very, very clear. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. What we are you guys. We are fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis, trying to decipher all of the tweets, all the news, and get all the details that we can around our Green Bay Packers. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you never miss out on a future stream. Let's get into it. Put this over at Patreon. And you guys know how I operate. I have a couple of people in and around the Green Bay Packers that I can try to press for a little information. I don't have sources like your Justin Mosqueda. I don't have sources like your Tom Silverstein. Okay, I want to be very clear with that. That's why we say we're not insiders. I have created a couple of, I guess you could say, friendships around the building where I try to bounce ideas off of stuff. Sometimes things go cold, they go quiet, completely understandable. And in this case, that's the response I've got. Sometimes when things go quiet, to me, it says a lot, right? It's like, maybe you're sniffing a little too close, and I can't comment on that, right? Does that make sense? So we're going to dive into the new details. And here's basically what the way I operate here, right? I went through 3 different platforms, right? Gemini, which is Google's AI. I went through ChatGPT, right? And then, actually, it's just 2. Those are the main 2 that I use, right? We use Grok too, but Grok I don't feel like is there quite yet. It's getting there. But those are the 2 that we bounce this off of. Throwing in the information that I heard and the information that's on Twitter, on X, and putting everything in and comb through the internet to find any info you can to try to piece this thing together. So essentially, the following information is pulled by AI from several different articles written recently by Tom Silverstein, right? Acme Packing Company, which is Justice Makeda, I believe, works there, if I remember correctly, and Sports Illustrated. So here's the latest information we're coming up with, and I'm trying to include tweets as well. You guys make sure you go give Justice a follow over there on X at JUMOSQ. If you're following me on there, I'm sure you're already following him, but if you're not, make sure to go give him a follow. He put this tweet out 12 hours ago. John Harbaugh, $100 million. Ben Johnson, $65 million. Liam Cohen, $60 million. Packers offer for Matt LaFleur, ballpark, $38 million. Packers pivot for Jeff Hafley, ballpark, $35 million. So let's read that on the surface, okay? And again, I don't think he's saying these are hard numbers. This is the exact offer. They're trying to piece this together too, so don't take my word for it. Go ask Justice on X, right? Go read his articles. I got the article right there. You can see it. Just go to Acme Packing Company, Matt LaFleur's news. It's right there at the top, all right? So make sure you guys go check it out for yourself and see if you're coming away with the same type of thing. Now, when you read that on the surface, am I the only one that looks at that and go, what the hell are we doing, right? I'm going to try to keep my opinion out of it because I just want to give you guys the facts and let you guys draw your own conclusion, okay? So again, that tweet to an article there right now. Let's bounce back. Last night, the Giants are finalizing a 5-year deal with John Harbaugh that is expected to be around $20 million per year, making him one of the top paid coaches in football. He'll have massive power in the organization, something a coach hasn't had with the Giants in quite some time. So it sounds like, I think I put another tweet in there, which we'll talk about on the backside. it sounds like he's asking for roster control. In Green Bay, it sounds like they haven't allowed Matt to have any roster control, right? That's Goody's job, and they're all on an equal playing field, but Goody has the final say in the roster, although Matt puts in input. Goody puts in input on the coaching, although Matt has the final say on how you coach, right? Goody does have the final say in the 53-man roster, although Matt's bouncing, hey, I'd rather have this guy, or this guy, right? And that's why you don't know all the details behind the scenes when it comes to how the roster is structured. But just point out, John Harbaugh is kind of the top candidate right now, right? Because Matt LaFleur isn't available. He's asking for 5 years, $20 million per. He's not asking for it. It sounds like the Giants agreed to this. Well, what's the holdup? It sounds like the holdup may be that John Harbaugh is holding out for another opportunity. Okay. Just kind of letting the dust settle a little bit, if you will. I just retweeted a video that went out from NFL Insiders. Okay. And you guys can go check that out on X. But is he holding out for the Green Bay job? That's the question. Right. So I put a poll question up on X. I wanted to do it on YouTube. If you guys can bear with me for a second, I hate the dead air, but I'd like to put this poll question up in YouTube. Okay. So just bear with me. I'll try to mumble here for a second as I get the question up. I'm going to pose it exactly the same way as I did on X. So there's nothing different here. Okay. It's being reported John Harbaugh wants roster control. Packer fans, which scenario would you prefer? Okay. So again, this is a part of a report. I'll talk about where that report came from here in just a second. Let me get these options up here because I really want to get your all's take as well. And don't let me forget before we wrap up to check this poll, because we're going to get through all this information in rapid fashion and get you guys out of here. I know y'all are excited to get back to work. Don't kid me. You would rather be working right now than talking Packers. I know that's true. So, all right, I think we got it up. All right, cool. So again, here's the poll question. You guys can see it on YouTube. It's being reported John Harbaugh wants roster control. Packer fans, which scenario would you prefer? Harbaugh plus roster control, or would you prefer LaFleur with the current structure, meaning kind of equal say, if you will, in the roster? Okay, so let's move along. Here's all the information that's comprised from those articles that we talked about and everything that's on the internet. Okay, term versus salary. Here's the hang up in negotiations. While the number of years is the primary sticking point, the financial gap is widening. LaFleur is reportedly seeking a deal, 15 to 18 million per year range to join the league's elite earners. So again, he's asking for $5 to $2 million less than what John Harbaugh has reportedly been offered by the Giants. Okay, the lame duck factor. Incoming President Ed Policy wants to avoid a lame duck season in 2026. However, the front office is hesitant to reset the coaching market after a season that ended in a disappointing collapse. Now, I want to give a shout out. I was listening to Jen Latta's show over on ESPN Milwaukee this morning, just seeing if any other information broke. I usually don't agree with Gabe Neitzel on there, okay? And I don't watch their show consistently, but when I have, it just seems like me and him are like oil and water. That doesn't mean I'm right and he's wrong or vice versa, right? We just usually don't agree. We are 100% in agreement with this. He brought it up and he's like, how come Goody's getting a pass here? Like, if the injuries aren't an excuse, then how come Goody gets a pass that the roster flopped the way it did with the backups, with the depth of the roster, right? To me, you guys know I've been vocal. It's about having the youngest roster in the league. I just want to mention that Chewy completely agreed. You know, Mark Chimura used to play tight end for the Packers. He completely agreed with Gabe. I'm telling you, my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, this is the first time I have agreed with these two guys on something so emphatically. So that was kind of weird to me, if you will, that we all agreed in that fashion. So I'm eager to see if the fans agree on the poll question. I put it up on X and YouTube. So the lame duck factor, we kind of talked about it, right? Staff ultimatum. Rumors suggest the Packers may be tying the money in years to a demand that LaFleur overhaul his staff, specifically regarding special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia. Now, John Kuhn came out yesterday and said everyone in the building, I'm pretty sure he said everyone, you guys go check the audio from him and Matt Schneidman's show. He said everyone in the building wants Rich back. Well, this report's saying that that's not necessarily the case, right? That they're wanting him to fire Rich Bisaccia. But here's the other thing. Forget Rich Bisaccia's name for a minute, whether you think he should be special teams coordinator or not. So now it's not only you don't have roster control while John Harbaugh is going to have roster control in New York, but also you don't even have control over picking your staff. We've kind of talked about this. There was rumors of this in the background. It seems like with the most latest reporting, That seems to be one of the ultimatums. So they're offering him less money, no roster control, and now he can't pick his own staff. So, guys, it sounds like this thing might fall apart, and we may be trading Matt LaFleur for a draft pick. I mean, unless something dramatically changes, right? Let's move along. Latest information, salary comparison, how LaFleur stacks up. Current status, LaFleur currently earns, keep in mind, Matt LaFleur, they've made the playoffs the last 3 years, right? With the youngest roster in the league. I'm always going to throw that out there. If that pisses you off, this ain't the show for you, because the facts matter. The fact that people are like, well, it's not about making the playoffs. I get it, but at some point you've got to add a few more veterans so you don't have the youngest roster in the league so you can go on a run in the most clutch situations. It is what it is. That's just my opinion as a fan. So $8 and $9 million annually is what's reported that he earns. So you've had Matt LaFleur for the last 3 years making reportedly somewhere in the ballpark of $8 million per year. Let's just call it $9 million per year. Well, we all agree that he's been underpaid. Comparatively speaking to Sean Payton, $18 million a year. Andy Reid got paid $20 million a year. Now, Andy Reid's won some rings, right? Andy Reid also missed the playoffs this year with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. Well, he had injuries. Oh, now the injuries matter. Got it. Because I was told that's not an excuse, right? It is what it is. Now, I'm not saying that Matt LaFleur's get paid more than Andy Reid. That is crazy talk. But Andy Reid, $20 million a year. Sean Payton, $18 million a year. Mike Tomlin, he didn't get fired. I think it was the writing was on the wall. There were rumors he was going to get fired after they got their ass kicked by Houston. You know, keep in mind, we had an epic collapse in the second half with our defense against the Bears, but we lost by how many points? Mike Tomlin got boat raced by the Texans in the playoffs. He's making $16 million per year. When was the last time Mike Tomlin won a playoff game? Been a while, right? Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, $16 million per year. Sean McVay with the Rams, $15 million per year. I understand if the argument is Matt LaFleur should not make more money than Sean McVay. I get that. Sean McVay's got a ring. Sean McVay, keep in mind too, our general manager went in the opposite direction and went youngest roster in the league 3 years in a row. When the Rams won the Super Bowl, what did they do? F them picks. They went all in, won a Super Bowl, had 1 year setback, and now they're right back in the hunt again. But again, like they were saying on Jen's show this morning, but Goody gets a pass? Just saying. I don't want Goody fired, but boy, oh boy. It just seems like something's a little off. So here's the gap. Despite having a .654 winning percentage, LaFleur is currently making significantly less than division rivals like Chicago's Ben Johnson, who's making $13 million per year. His request for $15 million plus would finally align his pay with his regular season success. Now, the organizational perspective that's being reported here, okay? Stability versus premium pay. The Packers are weighing LaFleur's 76-40-1 record justifies top five money, or is it the 3-6 playoff record suggests they should hold firm on a lower offer? And this is where I part ways with this whole opinion. If the 3-6 playoff record bothers you that bad while having the youngest roster in the league here, if that bothers you that bad, then just move on. Trade him. Trade while his stock is at the top. You understand that his stock is never going to be higher than it is right now. And if you as an organization are saying to him, you're not the guy, we don't want to pay you like the guy, we don't think you're the guy, we don't want to pay you market value, but you're too chicken shit to trade him because, oh, well, what if he is? Boys, that is a recipe for disaster. And it's something else I agree with the guys on the show. Now, Jen pushed back a little bit. She disagreed, but they're going, you don't want to go in with a lame duck coach. I mean, that just creates it makes everything unstable within your organization. She didn't seem to think it was as big of an issue. And hey, who knows? Maybe she's right. But like they said, historically speaking, when you've done that, boy, nothing good's come out of that for a head coach, right? Or for a team in general. Market pressure, if an agreement isn't reached, LaFleur would likely be the top target for teams like the Dolphins or Falcons, who would likely be willing to meet his $15 million plus asking price. So you've got at least two other teams. John Eric Sullivan, who just left the Packers, he would swoop Matt LaFleur up so quick. And doesn't this kind of explain, guys, why they didn't just hire Jeff Hafley right off the bat when he's the odds-on favorite to get that job? It kind of feels like they're waiting to see if the Packers want to trade Matt LaFleur And what if they traded him to the Dolphins and now the Packers hire Jeff Hafley, right? Well, here's the plan B. According to the reporting by Justice Mosqueda, again, you guys go give him a follow, of Acme Packing Company, the Packers' current negotiation stalemate with Matt LaFleur has led to speculation about internal alternatives and the potential financial cost of a leadership change. So here comes the Jeff Hafley factor and potential coaching costs. The internal candidate, Mosqueda, notes that I hope that spelled his name right there when we typed this. I think I got that right. I apologize, Justice, if I got that wrong. Notes that the Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley could be viewed as a potential successor if the organization cannot reach an agreement with LaFleur. The projected price tag regarding the financial implications of such a move, Mosqueda writes, if the Packers wanted to go to Hafley, they would probably get him at the $5 to $6 million range. And again, you guys go read his articles, make sure that's exactly how it was worded, how it was said. AI pulled this information, okay? The financial logic, this figure would represent a massive discount compared to the $15 million to $18 million annual salary LaFleur is reportedly seeking, though it would come with the inherent risk of hiring a first-time NFL head coach. Rumors suggest the hangup is the Packers only want to extend him, listen to this, by 2 years, while LaFleur is seeing lesser coaches get 5 years. So the rumors are saying the true hangup is they might be willing to give him closer to that 10 to 15 million range, which is still less than what John Harbaugh is getting paid or has potentially been offered, right? But we only want to give you 2 years. Guys, to me, if I'm Matt LaFleur, 2 years equals no deal. There ain't no way I'm taking a 2-year deal. When you're seeing John Harbaugh get 5 years, $100 million plus roster control, that is absolutely insanity. So again, it's like they don't want to come out and say it. It's almost like the organization wants Matt to come out and say, I want to be traded. That's really, really strange. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. To me, that feels like they don't want him, but they don't want to come out and publicly say we don't want Matt LaFleur. I think because they're scared that Matt LaFleur may go somewhere else and have the success he's had here with another, maybe even more success with a roster that maybe he has a little more say in that isn't the youngest roster in the league. Listen, this Packers team is loaded with talent. It's absolutely loaded with talent, right? We know that. Goody's done a good job, I feel like, picking talent. His biggest knock is not bringing in veterans to kind of shore up the roster. When Micah Parsons goes down, if it's not an excuse for Matt LaFleur to not be able to win games when Micah Parsons goes down, then it's not an excuse for Brian Gutekunst to not have better depth behind him. That makes sense. So that's just kind of how I see that. What's next? A time limit on talks. Insiders warn that a resolution must happen quickly. The longer negotiations linger, the higher the risk of parting ways before the 2026 coaching carousel stops. All right, so I just put this tweet out real quick here. One aspect of the LaFleur contract that I feel isn't being mentioned as much. If Ed Policy is not only refusing to offer Matt LaFleur market value, but also potentially changing the structure where he has less say in his staff and Gutekunst has more, that explains why he's looking around the league. Maybe this isn't a fit. Reports are suggesting John Harbaugh got the 5 years, $100 million. If you don't want him, is what I meant to say there, then trade him now while his stock is hot. If you do want him, pay him market value so he can improve his staff before everyone gets hired. To me, it's just a bad look. So again, like all these guys they're interviewing for OC, DC, all these different spots, and we're stuck at, we want you really cheap, but we don't want you at the market price. It's mind-boggling to me. So let's compare the two coaches here real quick. John Harbaugh and Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur has a .654 winning percentage. That's 16th all-time. Plus, he's made the playoffs the last 3 years. Keep in mind, while making the transition from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Not only is this about winning games, but it's about who's better with your quarterback. Who has John Harbaugh had? 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson, right? Okay, let's bounce back to Matt LaFleur. Making the playoffs 6 out of his last 7 seasons. So Matt LaFleur, in his 7 seasons as coach, has made the playoffs 6 of the 7 seasons. I think those numbers are right? He's been here for 7 seasons, I believe. If it's 6, he's made it 5. He's only missed the playoffs 1 year. John Harbaugh, 614 winning percentage is 36th all-time. So Matt LaFleur, 16th all-time in NFL history in winning percentage. John Harbaugh, 36th, 20 spots lower. John Harbaugh missed the playoffs this year. And keep this in mind. Over the last 13 years that John Harbaugh has been the head coach for the Baltimore Ravens, again, over a decade, 13 years. In the last 13 years, he has only made the playoffs 7 of the past 13 years. I'm no mathematician, but if you doubled the amount of years that LaFleur has been here and you took it from, let's say, 7 to 14, let's just say 12 years, right? That would suggest at the rate that LaFleur is going that Matt LaFleur would make the playoffs. Let's just take it to 14 years. 12 out of the 14 years, he would make the playoffs. Harbaugh, in that same similar time span in 13 years, has only made the playoffs just a little bit more than 50% of the time. I don't know, boys and girls. I don't know. I don't see what the infatuation is with John Harbaugh, but it sounds like he might be holding off just a little bit on the Giants job in case the Packers decide they want to trade Matt LaFleur. And if they trade Matt LaFleur, do they make an offer to John Harbaugh? Now, you remember when John Harbaugh first got fired, it's just wild that he got fired and they missed the playoffs. Like, he got fired, right? One of the first reports was Adam Schefter coming out and talking about how John Harbaugh's agent is Bob Harlan's son. Bob Harlan is royalty in Green Bay. He pointed that out. So if you think for a second there's not some back channel communication going on with other head coaches, I think Ed Policy's doing that right now. And if you're Matt LaFleur, put yourself in Matt LaFleur's shoes, right? If you're Matt LaFleur, what are you doing? What do you, if you know, here's what's crazy is guess who our boy Adam Schefter is getting his information from. It's Matt LaFleur's agent's camp. So if you think for a second that information isn't being shared, right? You understand what I'm saying? If Adam Schefter and them aren't sharing information that, hey, the Packers reached out to John or they back channeled through this guy or that guy, that's in the back of Matt's mind too. I'm just being honest. If I was Matt LaFleur, and I've said this over and over and over, I will be here covering the Packers, talking Packers. I love the Packers. Wherever Matt LaFleur goes, I'll root for Matt LaFleur every game other than when he plays the Packers, just like we did with Aaron Rodgers. We love Aaron Rodgers, but boy, when the Packers played Steelers, I wanted them to embarrass Aaron Rodgers. I wanted them to go out and boat race Aaron Rodgers. Same thing would apply with Matt LaFleur. But if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm telling them to stick this up their ass is what I'm doing. And I'm moving along. I'm going, trade me. And the next step, it was being kind of mentioned there in some of the articles that it pulled some that were lesser known. And I trust, Acme Packing Company. I trust Tom Silverstein. So I got to be careful with some of the, not the knock deal. They may be just as good. I'm just not as familiar with it. But it was suggesting that the next step, if they can't come to an agreement soon, might be, Matt, go out and see which teams are interested in you and bring us the best draft pick offer. That might be the next step in this whole process. And keep in mind, Matt Ryan just took over as the president of football operations, I believe, in Atlanta. And you're going, what's that matter, Clayton? Matt Ryan won his only MVP of his career with Matt LaFleur as his quarterbacks coach. So that's another quarterback that obviously Matt's tied to an MVP season. I think he's gotten, obviously he was the head coach / play caller for Aaron Rodgers when he won 2 MVPs. He won an Matt Ryan won an MVP while Matt LaFleur was his quarterback coach. RG3 won Rookie of the Year when Matt LaFleur was his quarterback coach. And obviously he was the offensive coordinator and kind of quarterback guru, if you will, working with Jared Goff in LA when they went to the Super Bowl. And Jared Goff had one of his best statistical years. Jared Goff has been very vocal talking about his love for Sean McVay, even though they traded him. Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur. And it did seem like as soon as Matt LaFleur got there with Sean McVay, even if it was 1 year, it kind of turned that career arc around for Jared Goff. So, and obviously Jared Goff played pretty good football. That went under the rug this year because Detroit crapped the bed with all the 4th down calls and missed the playoffs. But Jared Goff had a pretty damn good year this year. So that's Matt's strength, in my opinion. Play calling, you had the 5th best passing offense in the league. You're now on to your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th quarterback. I think the only place you could say Matt made a stop and they didn't have great quarterback play was Tennessee. He was there for 1 year as the offensive coordinator with Vrabel, I believe. That's the only stop. The only stop. Everywhere else, the quarterback play has excelled. And now Jordan Love is playing MVP caliber football. Top 3, top 5 quarterback in the league this year, depending on who you talk to, of course. So really, really interesting stuff. I see the super chat. Let me hit this real quick. Mike Witt with the super. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, honest question, Clayton, if Miami offers us the number 11 pick in the draft, do you think the Packers front office would jump on it? Just curious. I do, Mike. And that's not based off of how I feel about Matt. If the Miami Dolphins said, hey, you want the 11th overall pick for Matt LaFleur, and they're not willing to pay him anywhere near the contract length that the going market is, it tells me they don't want Matt LaFleur, right? So I think the plan there would be trade him, get the pick, and then turn right around and either hire Hafley from within as your head coach or go get whoever they want. Maybe that's John Harbaugh. Hell, maybe that's Clint Kubiak. Maybe it's one of the young up-and-coming offensive coaches. And in that case, like Wildy said, we're doing that thing again, aren't we? Where we're kind of resetting and restarting again and going. It's just, yeah. So I think they would jump all over that, Mike. Now, would Miami be willing to do that? I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I think they like Hafley. John Eric Sullivan, who knows how he's going to GM, because Goody's GM'd a little bit different than Ted, right? Ted Thompson. So maybe John Eric Sullivan says, F them picks. We're going to go all in real quick. Imagine that if they traded the 11th overall pick for Matt LaFleur, and then they sign Malik Willis in free agency, right? And then let's say Matt poaches one of the defensive assistants from the Packers and brought in like whoever didn't get the DC, whether it's Ansley or Covington, brought one of those guys with him, and they poach a couple position coaches underneath them, right? That type of thing. And then, of course, Jeff Hafley would have to make a decision if he was promoted to the Packers head coach. The part that bothers me is it's like they're putting the same amount of value on Matt LaFleur as they are Jeff Hafley as a head coach. And we've never seen Jeff Hafley be a head coach in the NFL. We saw him at Boston College, and it wasn't great. When did Jeff Hafley have Boston College as a head coach, have him, a top 5 team? Now, I say that, but Jeff Hafley, I think, would make a good head coach. I do think that. It's just, are we talking about him coming out and winning 65% of his games? Because that's what Matt LaFleur has done with the youngest roster. And are you going to continue to march the youngest roster out there year in and year out because Goody ain't on the hot seat, right? And you're just going to continue to do the same thing over with a new coach now. But you guys know I'm not a big fan of defensive-minded head coaches. Not to say you can't have success with it. I feel like I've always been of the opinion of, look at Packers history, okay? Let's go back through history. LaFleur, I think we would all agree, has been successful. Whether you want him fired or not, I think he has been successful, okay? Offensive-minded head coach. Before him, Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl. Offensive-minded head coach. Before him, Mike Sherman was offensive-minded head coach, offensive line coach, I believe, right, was his background. That didn't work out that great. Before him, Ray Rhodes, defensive coach. Do y'all remember what happened when Ray Rhodes was defensive coach? God rest his soul. Like, listen, hey, Ray Rhodes is he was an amazing coach, but I think we would all agree that 99 season, he was not a head coach, right? Completely fell. I think it was 99. You guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I believe it was 1999 that happened. Before that, Mike Holmgren, offensive-minded head coach, won the Super Bowl, right? And before that, your Lindy and your Infante, I think saying that right. That was before my time, so I'm very, very ignorant in that regard. But yeah, it's gonna be really, really, really interesting for sure. Nick McSwain asks a good question. He says, how many coaches have won the Super Bowl since LaFleur got hired? How many head coaches have went to the playoffs 6 out of 7 years since he got hired? That's a great question, Nick. I don't have the answer on the fly. If somebody wants to look that up, that is a great, great question. It might be a huge list. It might be a very, very short list, right? So, yeah. Let's get to the poll question real quick. We obviously threw it up here. I want to check it on YouTube. Got your votes in. Again, the question is, it's being reported John Harbaugh wants roster control. Packer fans, which scenario would you prefer? Harbaugh plus roster control or LaFleur with the current structure? and LaFleur ran away with it, 80% of the votes to 20%. So it wasn't even close. Not a huge surprise there. Now I'm going to jump over to X. I will try to put this on the screen so you guys can see it. Give me just a second. And if you guys are tuning in because you've seen the title of the video and the latest news and this and that, we already covered it. You guys just rewind back. That way you don't waste your time. We're just kind of hanging out in here talking ball now, answering super chats and all that good stuff. So you go right back to the front. We tried to get to that info real quick. Should be able to get you out of here and on your way in 15 minutes. So, all right, here we go. The poll question on Twitter. There's only been 74 votes, so it hasn't been voted on much. Let me go ahead and retweet that real quick in case someone else wants to get their vote in. It's being reported, John Harbaugh, same question. 89.5% are saying LaFleur with the current structure versus the 10.5% Harbaugh plus roster control. And again, that's what's being reported. We'll see if it holds true. So actually, the YouTube viewers with 71 votes in here it's 80% LaFleur with the current structure, but 19% with Harbaugh plus roster control. So that's a 8.5% increase, I guess you could say. Let's just call it 9%. 9% increase of our YouTube viewers that says they would take Harbaugh plus roster control over LaFleur, as opposed to Twitter being at 90% in LaFleur's camp. So, and it's constantly changing. You guys get your votes in, and we'll try to hit it one more time before we get out of here. I see we got a super chat. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you, buddy. Okay, Hafley is head coach. Who is OC? Is Hafley ready? This has gotten crazy. Let me get a sip of coffee. Think about that for a second. My God. Again, man, Hafley may be a great head coach if it came down to that, right? I'm not ruling it out. That would be awesome too, wouldn't it? You know, you get him for a lot cheaper and you go on a run. Who's the OC though? Do you keep Stinovich and let him call plays? I think a lot of people probably just went, whoa. Do you promote Sean Mannion? We talked about Sean Mannion last night. Does he get promoted from within? Because I think this is a great question, Mike, and I see that, Nick. Thank you so much, buddy. I'll double check that here in a second. If you promote Sean Mannion, you keep the system in place. But if Hafley says, I want to go a different route, now you tear down the offensive system and you implement a whole new offensive scheme. Well, guess what? Jordan Love, it's all he's known as this scheme. He got tutored by a first ballot Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, in how to run this scheme. Matt LaFleur has been a quarterback guru everywhere he's gone. So now all of a sudden you bring somebody else with a new system. That's tough, man. That's really, really tough. I imagine they would want to keep it in the same vein as the same system. Now, this is great here, and I'm going to get to Nick McSwain's comment here in a minute about Harbaugh. There might have been some breaking news. I don't know. Fishy Things says, Mike McDaniel's OC. Here's the problem with that, Fishy Things. If you trade Matt LaFleur, who do you think Matt LaFleur's first option for offensive coordinator is going to be? I'll give you a hint. It's not going to be Adam Stinovich. He's going to go after Mike McDaniels. So, to me, the best shot of getting Mike McDaniels as your OC is for Matt LaFleur to be your head coach. Could be wrong. Maybe the Packers would throw the book at, that's how you get them, right? Money talks, right? Throw the checkbook at Mike McDaniels. You think that Ed Policy is going to throw the checkbook at an offensive coordinator when it's been reported by Justice that in 2019, the organization, i.e. Russ Ball, Mark Murphy, they refused to pay? Well, Ed Policy is different. Could be. But look at how this negotiation's gone. He's weighing out the options of hiring Jeff Hafley at $7 million because it's significantly cheaper than what Matt LaFleur would get on the open market. Right? So there's just a lot of stuff to unpack here, man. And I agree with 2-0 for this, says Bo Jerry. Donovan Schilling said, I don't care what the news is today. #fire Joe Barry. There you go. People comparing his numbers, his first year as defensive coordinator, to Jeff Hafley, and what they did down the stretch was wild the other day. And I don't think anybody's trying to say Joe Barry's a better defensive coordinator than Jeff Hafley. I just don't think people realize how bad that run was on defense there the last part of it, really since Micah got out, right, with the injury. So Nick McSwain in here. I'll keep my eye on the chat too, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Man, make sure y'all hit like. We got a bunch of people in there. Just smash that like button for us. Thank y'all for making us part of your morning. Nick McSwain says, Clayton, I think Harbaugh is already on the Giants. Let me make sure real quick that nothing is broke. The last I heard, actually, I'm going to play, if I can get it to load here. I'm struggling. Hopefully we don't lose internet. This is about the time of the morning that we have this glitch in our internet here locally. So hopefully you guys can still hear me, and maybe you can't. We shall see. Like, you guys confirm in the chat that you can hear me, because I might have lost internet service. Make sure we're still good here. It might be Twitter that's struggling too, because I just tried to load up X and it's not popping up. Yeah, so they're okay. Y'all good. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, so Donovan's saying the contract not finalized yet. That was the last I heard too. But let's I had retweeted a video. I wanted to play the audio for you guys. I hadn't had a chance to listen to it completely yet, but man, X is struggling, boy. It is struggling. Yeah, it's saying something's going wrong on X, so I don't have access to that right now. Let me try to reload everything. There was a video that came out, I think, from the Insiders over on NFL Network. And let's see if there's what's the latest on that information. But yeah, X ain't loading, so we're screwed. Yep. Donovan Shelley, anyone X is down right now, though? Yeah, I don't know. Man. Mine's not working, though. It's just spinning. Everything else is working fine, though. Obviously, we're still live here. Patreon page is pulling up. So I don't know, man. We'll see. But again, it sounds like they're still where they were, based off of what everybody's saying in here. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, it looks like everybody's X is down right now. So it sounds like the offers on the table, they gave John Harbaugh everything he wants, and he's just kind of holding back, like, is there going to be a better opportunity? Well, what better opportunity could become available, guys? There's only one out there that everybody's talking about, like, why haven't they made a decision yet? Kind of feels like they might be weighing out their option for John Harbaugh, right? I don't know, though. It's hard to get information out of 1265, and rightfully so. You don't want to tip your hand, right? Yeah, it's still not loading, so there's nothing we can do there. I'm assuming nothing has gotten done yet, but yeah. Mike Witt says Clayton to be Packers' new head coach. Boy, if y'all were mad at Matt LaFleur, y'all gonna hate what you get out of this guy. My God. I try to study the game, and every time I think, all right, man, you get kind of proud of yourself. Like, all right, man, yeah, I think we're in a good spot here. Something else happens. Like, if you feel like you're behind the eight ball learning the game of football, don't feel like, oh, I'll never get caught up, because the game changes every year, man. You can dive in right now and have the edge on me or anyone else in terms of the information, right? Yeah. So is Twitter, guys, confirm for me, is Twitter actually working for anyone? Because I just got a thing that says connection timed out, error code 522. Make sure that nobody else can get text. Travis Nelson with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, got to look at it this way. Chances of LaFleur being the next Andy Reid, or do the Packers have a better chance of finding a new coach with a 650 winning percent? That's really what it comes down to, right, Travis? And if somebody can guarantee me we're going to get you a better coach, hey, man, I'm all on board. I'm a Packer fan. I want the best. What's best for the Packers? It's just, man, an Atlanta Falcons fan called into a sports talk show yesterday or the day before and said, hey, just to let you guys know, please screw this up, because we want Matt LaFleur bad. I don't think y'all realize what you got, because they've been kind of wandering in the wilderness ever since they lost that Super Bowl, remember? So, yeah. But mine just went down. Okay, cool. So it is everybody. All right, cool. That sucks, man, because I'd really like to see if there's any latest information. So what we're going to do, since X is down and we can't pull any more information, hopefully I answer your question. It wasn't really a question. It was a comment. I commented on it, Travis. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think that's a great point, right? Like, that's the question. That's what you're weighing, is, can you find the next great coach, or a coach that's going to win as many games to give you an opportunity to go into the playoffs, or not, right? Because if you can't, then you're better off here. And listen, it's not an easy decision. The main problem I've got with the decision and how it's been handled up to this point is you're dragging your feet. You can't do it. I mean, you got to make a decision. And we're negotiating. What are you negotiating? Less money? That tells me he's not your guy, right? That's the problem I have with this whole scenario, is if you don't want to pay him the market value, then that tells you he's not your guy. Move on. Go find your guy. Ed Policy. He's out there, right? Like Tim said the other night, I think it was Tim that said it. Mark Murphy went and found LaFleur, right? So who's to say we can't find someone equal or better than LaFleur right now? But this whole, well, he might be, might not be, I'm telling you, man. And here's the other fallout too. Now you're disrespecting the coach by not giving him market value. And again, that report didn't say Matt's wanting $20 million. The report said he's wanting $15 million, right? That's what's kind of guesstimated. They're not willing to pay him $15 million, while other people are getting significantly more than that. You disrespect the coach now, but also you're sending a message to your locker room right now. Hey, guys, I know that if we end up getting a deal done with Matt, we're going to come out in training camp and say we got all the faith in the world in Matt, and you guys need to listen to and hang on every word he has to say. But they're going to go, oh, yeah? Your checkbook didn't say that before, right? And it does bother me that some people kind of press into well, they're doing the head coach wrong, while other people, those same people, don't have a problem when they lowball players, right? So it's like, it's the business. And I don't think people realize, I know I didn't for a significant amount of time, just how similar of a situation that coaches are in with players. Like, they're negotiating too. They're trying to get their money too. And they want to help the players get their money because that means they had a good year, right? And then you get the general manager in the background kind of trying to lowball them both. It's a really, really interesting and it's strange but interesting dynamic, I guess you could say. So with that being said, guys, since X is down and we can't get the latest information, we'll go ahead and wrap up right there. As soon as news drops, I'm here all day long. Man, got up, got me a cup of coffee, actually on the second cup of coffee. We got a fire going. It is cold outside down here in Tennessee. Got a fire going. We're ready to roll. We're ready to be here in this seat all day long. So if news breaks or any other reports come out, we will hit go live, jump in here and talk about it. You guys just do me a favor in the chat. Two things. Hit like for me if you guys are hanging out in the live chat. And don't get fired from your job today, all right? Prioritize the job. But if you get a chance to listen to us throughout the day, jump in here and hang out with us. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you, buddy. And I want to give a special thanks to the donos here, Mike Witt, Mike Z, and Travis Nelson. Thank y'all so much for supporting the channel. And everybody in the chat, man, seeing the conversation involving you guys, it's what makes this show what it is. So if you're new here, hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. Let us know in the comments, how do you feel about the Matt LaFleur negotiation? Are you on the team side? Are you on the LaFleur side? Are you in the middle? We want to hear from you. Greatly, greatly appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Donovan Schilling said there's 130 Bears fans not hitting like. If you're not a Bears fan, you better hit that like button. I like what he did there, a little reverse psychology. Again, it helps the channel more than you know. We greatly appreciate it. So we'll be back here in a little bit. Everybody have a great morning. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.